We finally decided that we're going to actually answer some questions on Twitter because we've been a bit lackadaisical about that. People have been sending in questions and we've been promising we're going to do it. So this is our
It's about time. It's about time.
Exactly. Starting off, we've had a question from Phil Frick on Twitter wanting to know basically about the Rugby World Cup announcement that came from Australia today. They announced their squad, Robbie Deans. No Matt Giteau in that squad. What do you think?
I'm not convinced that's the right move. I honestly think Matt Giteau adds them a lot of depth in terms of the versatility of Giteau. He does, can play it in a number of positions and really is a good option for them to have in terms of, covering a number of positions for him. I think he's a great player as well, vastly experienced. To leave him out just makes absolutely no sense to me.
Maybe it was a scrum cap. I don't know. Maybe it's not fashionable anymore, is it? Unless you're a front row, he's like Earl Rose, running around with gloves and all the gear and no idea. Matt Giteau is almost the forgotten son of Australian rugby since Quade Cooper's come in and proved that he's got remarkable flair. Okay, he throws the ball away and lets other people clean up his mess when he's under pressure. But Matt Giteau has played 92 caps for the Wallabies. He's played 92 times, which is pretty remarkable for a 28-year-old. He's on standby. Believe that there was talk of a feud between himself and Robbie Deans, who they both come out and refuted that claim. I think Giteau's had a couple of cryptic tweets that he sent out. He will now go to Toulon, as far as I understand it, and he will obviously challenge Johnny Wilkinson at 10 there. So he's on standby. I don't know if they have enough cover at 10, to be honest. You said Berrick Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, Berrick Barnes is an option for them, but I mean, Berrick Barnes has spent most of the season playing at centre. So, do you trust a guy like that to take a fairly pivotal position at fly half? I just honestly, I don't see it working out for them. I think if there's an entry to Quade Cooper, I think Australia are going to be in serious trouble. And Cooper's done the business for them this season, but as you said, he can either win or lose you a match. It's literally that simple. And if he runs into a bit of poor form and they're looking around for somebody else, Berrick Barnes seems the logical option of the squad they've chosen, but I'd rather have Giteau there.
Phil, the other thing that they said today was that Wycliffe Palu, James Slipper, pronounce that for me.
Tafu Pelota now.
There we go. Rob Horn, Berrick Barnes and Drew Mitchell. All those players are injured, but they've put faith in them coming back and in their medical team as well. So that's quite interesting. They've gone with guys that are proven in the past but are ailing at the moment. Rocky Elsom has been demoted, and James Horwill, the captain of the Queensland Reds, I was going to say Canterbury Reds there for a second, but that would have been fairly stupid. He's taken over as skipper. An honour for him to lead his side, or to lead his country out into a World Cup. He had an awesome season for the Reds. Do you think he's the right man for the job?
No, would have gone with Elsom as well. Once again, experience, and we've spoken about this often, and a lot of people have been talking about the experience on the Springbok side. I think it counts for all of the sides going to the World Cup, as experience is vital. Somebody like Rocky Elsom, he's played abroad, he's played in all the leagues, he's captained Australia, he's done the job before. To chuck a guy like James Horwill in, I think you're just throwing him to the lions. If Australia fail, I think they're going to be looking around for somebody to pin it on, and he could very well be that man.
Phil, there you go. I hope we've answered your question. We'll try and get Ben's thoughts on that in due course when he actually returns. Dean Robertson asked us the question today, Habana versus Mvovu.
I'm quite clear on that. I'd say Brian Habana. Been harping on for long enough now.
There's no question who De Villiers is going to select.
I think he's going to go with Habana. It's that simple. I think he's going to stick with experience. I think we saw with the majority of sides that have won a World Cup over the last couple of years. We saw the vastly experienced England side. We've seen the South Africans in 2007. I think we're just going for experience. And Habana might be out of touch or form, however you want to put it, but I still think he does offer you a lot in terms of his reading of the game. Mvovu is a young and exciting player, and he is definitely going to be. He's definitely one for the future, and we've seen how well he can perform for the Boks. He doesn't seem to be starstruck and doesn't seem to struggle on the bigger stage. But honestly, at the moment, Habana for the World Cup. That's my thought.
You're going Habana. Mvovu played. I think he played the full 80 minutes in Sydney when they got drubbed. Drubbed, is that even a word? When they got beaten 39-20 by Australia in Sydney. He got through that game, didn't show much, but remember he did score at HQ last year in the end of season outbound tour to England. So, the guy has proven that he can score. Habana's defensive work has been praised all season, albeit his attacking incisive running is not what it used to be.
But that being said, I mean, sorry to interrupt, you mentioned the defensive work. That's in a Stormers outfit, which is known for their defence, and we've mentioned the Springboks are struggling defensively. Is he going to be shown up there? I mean, is that something that's a concern for Peter de Villiers, is that he's not alongside his guys, he's not in his usual defensive setup? Is he maybe then going to gamble on somebody else?
Not sure. Mvovu versus Habana is out there. Richard's going Habana. I'm sitting on the fence a little bit more. I think both players add a lot to the side. I think Mvovu adds youthful exuberance, but of course, hindsight, the greatest tool. We've all got our own opinions. What are yours? Moving along swiftly to another sport, football. We've been asked a question by Nesh, who's actually a mate of mine. Hello, Nesh. He's asked about the strike that's currently going on in Spain with players basically protesting against wages. Now, I've done a little bit of research. There are 200 players in the top 2 divisions of Spanish football that are owed £50 million worth of wages, unpaid wages. There are 3.43 billion euros, all euros, worth of debts for the top 20 top-flight clubs in La Liga, and their revenues are 1.6 billion euros, which is almost double. Now, we're not quite sure about this, but salary caps, and you mentioned it to me just before we came on, are the football authorities doing enough?
No. Absolutely not. And I mean, this is something you can pin on the door of UEFA. I mean, they should really be looking into this. We've been complaining about it for years in England that it's getting out of control. They've spoken about salary caps and nothing's happened. I mean, you look at a guy who's earning £200,000 a week. He's not the only one in a squad like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. There's so many guys that are getting paid that amount of money. The revenue coming in has got to be massive to cancel that out, let alone your other expenses. So for me, it doesn't make sense to pay guys that amount of money if the club is struggling. And it's just going to be on a smaller scale. If you look down the La Liga log, the guys at the bottom might not be paying £200,000, but they might be paying £50,000 a week. And they're struggling to do that, and that's the problem that we're sitting with at the moment. Is the wages for the people are just too great at the moment.
And even when you consider we're about to hit the double dip, the dreaded R word, from the smoothest himself, the smoothest reporter that there is, sport like it is, keep the questions coming through, get involved, people, and boom goes the dynamite.